really honest, Ian, there's something just not clicking at City, and I don't know what it is. You know, I know we're without two strikers, but even, you know, when we had Jesus play, there's just something not. I don't know whether, you know, I read a lot about Pep. I've read a lot of books about Pep, and he does burn out after. He always stays about 3 years, doesn't he? And is he burning out? Is he coming to the end? You know, Arteta gone. Was that a big thing for us? You know, all these in the mix, just something's just not clicking. We're missing leaders, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. We're missing a Vinny. That's what we're missing.
I think the Pep story is really one that won't go away until he signs a new contract. I mean, obviously we know he lost his mum, which must have been terrible for him, particularly in the circumstances we're in at the moment, with travel not being so easy. I mean, I know it might be a little bit easier for somebody like him. Maybe there's a private jet, maybe because he's involved in the football bubble, there are exceptions. But it can't be easy for him as a coach to be based in Manchester, so far away from his family in these situations. Obviously, with the whole Messi thing about him potentially coming in the summer, which I do believe was a genuine thing that he could have come. Had it not been for the expense of that, I think he would have arrived. And I think he would have arrived because of his relationship with Pep. And at one stage, I was under the impression, from what I'd heard, that Pep had extended his contract. But now we're not hearing anything about that. And maybe that's because the Messi deal collapsed. So do you think that, you know, is your vibe that something's not right behind the scenes because of that uncertainty around Pep?
Yeah, I just think when you look at Pep in the press interviews, you know, the conferences and things like that, he's just not got that sparkle about him that he had a couple of years ago, you know? And I think that may rub off on the players because, you know, but having said that, they've just spent 65 million on a cracking player. So would they have spent that money knowing that he's gone? And the other thing that I always intrigues me is, where's Pochettino? You don't hear much about him, do you? Now, where is he? Because let's face it, if I was the chairman of United, I would have signed him a long, long time ago. So where is he? What's he doing? And is he under contract? Is it a case of, look, just hang fire, there's a big job for you at City? I'll be honest with you, I have no problems about him coming to City. I think he's a great manager. But yeah, him being quiet, and you don't see him, do you? You know what I mean? So who knows?
It's funny you should mention that because just before lockdown happened, the big story I was hearing behind the scenes was that Pochettino was going to replace Pep this summer just gone. Now, clearly that hasn't happened, but we're in unprecedented times, so maybe that is why it hasn't happened. And maybe the Messi thing complicated it when the possibility of him coming came up as a, you know, as a thing.
Yeah, well, could have. You know, he's on gardening leave, as they say, you know, so I think he'd be suited for us. But I think he'd be, if he came to City, I think he'd be absolutely brilliant, a great replacement for Pep. And I know for a fact, like you say, he does genuinely. Pep, when you read the book, I think it was the red one where he had the report I've had. He could, when he was at Bayern, you know, he stayed with him for a whole season, and he does burn out. He does burn out, and he demands a lot from his players. And to demand that for 3 years, constant 4 years, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot on those players.
Fergie did it though, didn't he?
He did, and he ruled with an iron rod, didn't he? So, you know, and he did really well with that. I mean, look, I'd love Pep to stay. I'd love Pep to stay. I really, really would. Whether he does or not, we'll just have to wait and see.
What do you two think of the performance against Leeds? Obviously, there was the midweek victory against Burnley as well, which in theory was the bounce-back game after Leicester. And it wasn't a dramatically different team. It was a slightly different team. Do you want to start, Paul, and just tell us what you thought of those? I don't know. Did you even watch the game midweek, or did you see any of it in the end?
Yeah, I kind of watched the midweek one. It wasn't... I didn't have much interest in it, if I'm being honest. It was kind of, you know, like when Coronation Street's on and you're having your tea and you're kind of just looking up the telly every now and then. So I thought we were all right, to be honest. I mean, you know, there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to play Leeds and get a spanking. You know, it was, let's have it right, it was a great game of football from a neutral point of view. From a City point of view, it was like being back at Main Road and, you know, the good old days with Kevin Keegan. Now, you know, we were both at each other and, you know, from one end to another. If we'd have had a recognised striker out there, we'd have, could have been 6-1 or it could have been 6-all if it weren't for Ederson. So, you know, it was an odd day. It was an odd day, to be honest, but I enjoyed the game. I didn't have to pay for it. It was entertaining. So that's football, isn't it?
Ederson's an interesting one because he made 2 superb saves, no doubt about it. One low down with his hand, one in the top corner, but he also made a howler, let's face it, for the goal that they scored. And if a goalkeeper makes one mistake in a game and you end up, I mean, obviously if you win 5-1, it doesn't matter. But if it's a tight game, that can be the difference between the 2 teams. So he's an interesting player to study. What did you make of it all, Adam?
I think in terms of Ederson, I think he made some brilliant saves that meant that we actually didn't lose the game in the end. But obviously, that one cost us. But you think about the goals we could have scored. You look at Everton. Pickford made a mistake yesterday, conceded a goal from it, but they had enough firepower up top to make sure they won the game. So I don't tend to blame Ederson for the fact we didn't get 3 points yesterday. I think we've sort of had a perfect storm in terms of how to fail the start of a season. We've only just come off the back of last season. A couple of weeks ago, it seems like we were in the Champions League still. We've had 3 COVID cases, injuries coming out of our ears as well. It's just not been a great start. And obviously, we've had so many eggs in the messy basket. We seem to may have taken our eye off the transfer dealings elsewhere. And we've not got our business done early enough like I'd like us to have done. So I think we just really come into the start of the season unprepared. I was hoping we'd grind out results. We've just not been able to do that. And I think that's probably partly because we haven't got enough firepower to allow us to get past those mistakes that we're going to concede at the back, and also just because of those injuries and the fitness. I just think we really need to grow into the season. I think it's difficult to really damn the whole season and say it's all over right now because we're clearly going to be better than this in a few weeks. But if we were to continue like we are, then we're going to be nowhere near keeping up with Liverpool, who I've heard are losing, but they'd still be brilliant this season. So yeah, we look far off the pace and we need to improve, don't we?
Obviously, the defeat by Leicester was a real shock